Hello everyone, International Master Matt Bobula here. Today we are going to do the last episode from the Tarrasch series. If you haven't seen it, previous episodes, please check them. And today we are going to discuss another notable game played with white by well-known Yasser Seirawan and with black also by well-known Garry Kasparov. Okay, so let's start. Of course, it was Tarrasch defense. I'm pretty sure that you can recognize that pattern, even if someone wakes you up in the middle of the night. Knight f6, knight goes to c6. Okay, g3, Rubinstein's idea. Knight f6, bishop g2. Okay, still this is the main line till now. Bishop e7. Castling, and as you remember, two main moves in this position is bishop g5 and pawn captures c5. Seirawan chose bishop g5, c captures d4, knight captures h6, and in that position, the main move that we discussed, and probably the best move, is to move bishop to e3. The idea is to take control over that important d4 square, and d4 square that is very important because it helps to block an isolated pawn. But Seirawan decided to capture at f6. It looks like a logical move for white, but black can get very good activity of their pieces. Bishop captures f6. And you can see that now it's not possible for white to capture at the d5 because knight at the d4 is hanging. It is attacked by that bishop and attacked by that knight. So white has to move back with the knight, and black plays d4. You can see pushing that pawn forward, one of the ideas that we discussed before. Knight e4. Remember, when you play with an isolated pawn, you should try to avoid trading minor pieces. So you can see that in that position, knight attacks the bishop. So black moved back bishop to e7. Rook c1, queen b6. Bringing queen into more active position, because you can see that rook is going to support that isolated pawn. Knight c5, rook goes to d8. Rook goes to c4, and now black decided to capture at c5, and now this is a good idea because if rook captures, black can develop bishop to e6, and attacking that knight, rook at c5 is kind of hanging. Seirawan captured with a knight, and Kasparov captured pawn at b2. And it looks that black just won a pawn. Actually, it's not that easy because this is, you can say that Seirawan only borrowed that pawn for the next couple moves because he's going to take the d4 pawn very soon. Queen c2, okay, exchange. Now black is exchanging because black is up, right? Okay, and black is up, but black has got a problem with developing pieces. So rook has to go to b8. Rook b2, rook d6, defending knight at the c6. So now b6 move is possible for black, and then develop bishop onto that diagonal. Rook d1, b6, of course, knight b3, bishop b7. Rook goes to d2, that position. You can see that d4 pawn is attacked 3 times, and also that bishop is attacking the defender of that pawn. So you can tell that pawn at the d4 is attacked 4 times, 3 times directly and 1 time indirectly. Okay, rook goes to d8, king f1. King f1. Seirawan was afraid of some lines that can happen if knight captures d4, knight d4, that knight is moving to e2 and making a discovered attack with a check. So king went to f1, bishop a6, and now bishop captures c6, rook captures c6. Okay, Seirawan captured at the d4. Rook went to c5 because you can see that rook was hanging. Couple exchanges more in that position, and we will have critical position very soon, rook c7. I think that this is critical position for that game because, yeah, after the opening, after the middle game, we've got an end game, and that end game is better for black. And why black's position is better? First of all, first big factor that is good for black is pawn's majority on the queen side. Black has got 2 pawns, white has got only 1 pawn at a2, so it's kind of easy to create pass pawn on that side. Another reason is that black has got a bishop, and you can see that the center is totally open, that position is totally open. In open positions, when there are pawns on the both sides, bishop is superior to the knight. So this is why black's position is better. Okay. Rook d8, king h7. King e1, bishop goes to c4. Okay, king d2, g6. Okay. Black is slowly improving their position. Very important thing is to bring king into the center. This is why Kasparov is trying to move king that way. Knight c1, king goes to g7. a3, king goes to f6. e3, king goes to e7. Kasparov really wants to force that rook to move out of that annoying place, right? Annoying for black. So rook goes to d4, and now rook goes to d7. That position should be easier to win without rooks. King c3, capture, capture, and now b5. Okay, trying to advance pawn's majority on the queen side. Knight d3. You can see that knight hasn't got, bishop totally blocked that knight, so knight hasn't got any place to go in that position, only d3, but d3 was the only square that knight could go. But the problem is that now black can exchange that bishop for the knight. Of course, this is very important decision to make for black. Is it a good idea to exchange those things? And you just need to know that in the pawn endgames, because if bishop captures knight, we will have pawn endgame. There is nothing like that white has got small advantage or black has got small advantage. In the pawn's endgames, you can just say, is it win for white, win for black, or is it a draw? And Kasparov calculated, of course, that very accurate way. And he knew that he's going to win that pawn endgame, especially because he has got that pawn majority on the queen side, and he can create pass pawn. And when white king will take the pass pawn, black can march with the king to capture pawns on the king side. So this is why Kasparov decided to capture. King captures, king goes to d6. Pawn goes to e4, g5. f4, of course, exchange. King goes to c5. You can see that black's king is slightly more active than the white's king. King c3, a5. King d3, h5. Okay, h4 and now b4. Black is trying to create pass pawn. Of course, if pawn captures b4, and it's very easy plan for black to win, just to go with king to capture those pawns as a first one. So this is why white decided to play a4, f6, waiting move. And of course, now if white king moves somewhere back, black's king goes to c4 in that position. This is why the last chance for white is to play f5. And now black hasn't got any moves with pawns. Of course, b3 is not accurate move because king goes to c3 and king can capture that pawn. This is why black has to move back, and king goes to c4. And this is very interesting idea in that position, because you just need to realize that if white is to move, black is going to easily win that position. So what idea black should use to get the same position just with the opponent's turn? of course, black is going to use that famous idea called triangulation. King is moving onto the triangle to get the same position just with a opponent's turn. So king c7, white's king cannot move forward because that pawn is passed. So white's king has to take care of that pawn all the time. King d3, king d7. And of course, after king c4, black is going to play king c6, and we've got the same position, just white is to move, white has to move back, and black moves forward, and of course this is easy win for them. So this is why Seirawan decided to play king e3, king c6, right? Okay, king d3, king c5, king e3, and now Kasparov calculated very accurate way, and he played b3 in that position. King d3, king b4. Okay, he decided to promote that pawn, and if black promotes that pawn, it's gonna be promotion with a check. So after e5, king a3, and Seirawan resigned because after pawn captures that f6, black plays b2, and white plays f7. Black promotes queen with a check, and this position is of course easy win for black. So so Kasparov showed mastery in the endgames in that position. He got slightly better endgame, and he played really well until he won. Thank you very much for watching that episode. It was the last episode. I hope you enjoy Tarrasch. Hope you are going to involve Tarrasch defense into your opening repertoire. And please leave any comments to tell me what do you think about it. And thank you one more time for watching, and hope to see you on the next series. Thank you very much for watching. Bye.